mode. Okay, so this meeting is being recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded, then you've been fairly warned in a fair manner. Welcome everybody to the Murray Amateur Radio Club. Today we are going to talk about something that I think all hams want to become involved with. And let me pull up right there. Okay. We're going to talk about a power box. And generally speaking, a power box is used to power what? Radio. Yeah, I'm going to step out on a limb and guess radios, right? So that's exactly what that is. So I'm using November 9 Delta Juliet Beaver. Get a little weird with the letters there. He gave a presentation, and we gave this presentation in Mart a long time ago. And instead of reinventing the wheel, I'm just going to use the same slides, and we'll be able to then discuss it. I also brought a bunch of power boxes. Gordon brought a power box so we can take a look at. And the idea is to kind of understand how other people are making power boxes and maybe give you an idea on what to do. And to start off though, let me arrange this. So I'm going to bring in the most basic. Okay, my smallest power supply is this right here. My AAA battery. Okay, that's my smallest power supply. Okay, they come bigger than that, and we can make things bigger than that. In its, I have to bring it over here so I can show everybody. This is also kind of a power box. It's just a battery with Anderson power poles on there, and it runs all my radios, right? This will run the entire trailer because I have that connection right there, right? So everything else that we talked about is using this battery or a battery and doing stuff with it, right? So we're going to discuss that. I'm sure glad they created the lithium iron phosphate batteries. Woo! Where were we before that? Okay. And if you have any questions online, please speak up. I can't see the raised hand because of the screen that I'm looking at. Okay, so under the lid that you can see here is, it's not a waterproof box. It'll keep the rain sort of off, but I wouldn't use it in the rain. But you can see, let me bring on my laser pointer. You can see that he has all the main connections underneath the lid. And I think that's a great idea just to protect it somewhat. Here's looking down at it. We have a meter and we have a number of different connections. Who knows what these are called? Anderson power poles, right? They're kind of the de facto standard nowadays, right? And then we have a USB connections and a cigarette. I don't know why we still call them cigarette plug-ins because we haven't used them for a cigarette lighter for decades probably. Okay, but anyway, there you have it. And it has a nice handle, and you have two bigger posts on the outside. I suspect, well, we're going to find out what he uses that for. So he is looking at 9DJB was looking for ideas himself. And so one thing he wanted to do is he wanted to use the PowerWork system, which is the Anderson power poles, and he wanted to use lithium iron phosphate batteries. And so he went through Bino, I think, to get his battery. Uh, I I'm missing a power box. I build a power box that is using the same tactical ammo box from Harbor Freight. I wait until they go on sale. You see, this is the lit type. Uh, very, very inexpensive. And incidentally, when we post this presentation on our website, we'll have a PDF. And so all of these things will be in that PDF. Okay. So you can take pictures of it, you can make notes, but you don't have to. But he gives a complete inventory of what is going, bill of materials of what he used to create this box. And this is why I like this presentation of his, because he lays everything out. So after he buys everything, he puts everything out. He's going to now figure out where things go. And so what he did, he used a 1/4-inch black HPDE board that he got from the hardware store. You can use pretty much anything you have. It's my opinion that you use what you have if you can, right? Um, and so on my power box that's over there with the white plate, that was, I was working in Minneapolis at Delta Airlines, and they threw away a big sheet of that was cracked. And I go, "Are you going to let me take that home? You want it? Sure." So I took it and I cut it up so I could put it on my carry-on to go on the plane. And that's what I have a bunch of things made from that 1/4-inch thick acrylic stuff. And it's great. So it didn't cost me a thing. I've used I've used this one here is a 1/4-inch plywood, okay, that I just cut and painted. I'll show that uh, on the video so everybody can see. So just use what you have. Now let me give you a hint. When you're making your power boxes, and especially most people like to make a nice presentation of it, right? They want to, they take things slow and they want to do it so it looks right, so it looks like it was manufactured. That's what I like to do. Um, I pre-cut everything. First of all, I put it in CAD. That's no secret to anybody. I do all my work in CAD, and I get the dimensions, and then I take a piece of cardboard and transfer my CAD measurements to the cardboard, cut it out, and then see if it fits. And if it fits, then and only then I'll go ahead and cut into my acrylic or 1/4-inch plywood before I do that, right? And so um, you can learn by your own mistakes, or you can learn by other people's mistakes. It's up to you. If you, I mean, I can give you my DXF files if you want. So here is the underside of that board that he bought. This is the final final location of where everything is. And I want to identify this stuff so we know what we're looking at, okay? So this piece right here is that meter that you saw on the other side. And this shows amps that are used, volts, watts that are consumed. If it's charging, you'll see that. So this gives you valuable information. And to make that work, he has this shunt here. Okay, this shunt goes to the negative side of the power supply. And then we have a bus bar here. So all of the negative and positives can go here. And on my power supplies, those that I've used this same philosophy here, I made jumpers so that half of it, so I buy like a 6. Actually, it's a 12. This is a 12 conductor, 12 position. What do you call these things? there's just, what is it? Terminal strips. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah. And so because these are individual, I mean, they're only going from here to there, from here to there. I wanted to have a positive, a positive bus bar and a negative bus bar. So I would make a bus that ties these all together, and so then you have individual leads coming off that for the positive, same thing for the negative. What's this here? Anybody have any idea? Anybody? I'm sorry? That is a fuse, and not really a fuse, but a circuit breaker. Okay, if it pulls more than 30 amps, then it will trip. Okay, and you just have to push this knob, put it up or down, depending on how it's tripped. So you have a terminal here, and you have a.
What does the 50A mean on that?
I'm sorry?
What does the 50A mean on that?
I'm looking at a smaller version. Let me take a look here. Oh, yeah. So he happens to have a 50 amp circuit breaker. To me, that's a little bit much, but okay, whatever. Use what you want. But that is a 50 amp circuit breaker. As a matter of fact, let me expand this all the way so I can read it. Okay, much better. Then we have a fuse panel. Okay, so all of the end devices like the power poles, the USB charger, and the cigarette plug, they all come to here. And you'll have individual 15 amp, 20 amp circuit breakers for that. Okay, and then this is the shunt. This is the thing that connects right to this guy right here, the meter, and that controls, or you're able to see how much power is being used and whatnot. And here's a component layout of what we just looked at. Oh, I didn't see the binding post. There's the binding post. There you go. Oh, you can see that he also did a kind of bus. He made this actually just a negative terminal strip. And he has everything wired just the way you see it here. So this is why I like this presentation, because he has everything shown there. He's not using the terminal strips for the positive. He's just using the fuse box, and that's great. You notice that the shunt is not connected to the positive in any way, shape, and form. That is strictly right from the battery to the shunt to everything else. So he needs to see how much draw is happening, and we do that on this negative shunt. Okay, and yeah, this is just the wiring for the meter.
I think he's got that wrong, because nothing's going through the shunt.
I'm sorry?
Something seems wrong.
What's wrong?
To the battery. Oh, I see. Okay, never mind. So let's see what. Go back to your other page.
That just shows the shunt?
I think I see what's going on. Okay. Yeah. I was thinking these up to the battery, but the binding posts are just sitting there, not hooked to some wires, I guess, right?
So the shunt, and anybody who has, in their RV, they if they have a big battery system, the trailer, the Marine Amateur Radio Club, everything is based on the negative. So right from the battery, you have the shunt. So any draw from the battery, it has to go through the shunt, and you can see that the terminal post is the main thing that happens before that. And then it goes to the terminal strip, and all the negatives then tie into that.
What is that binding
this
post?
piece? I'm sorry?
What are the binding posts? Are they just metal posts that are just sitting there with wires hooked onto it? What do they look like? Can you do that one more time?
Yeah. In a couple slides, I'll show you.
All right.
Okay. The actual connection to the monitor itself connects to either side of the shunt, and yeah, and then goes to the power meter. And so when you put that in practice, this is what it looks like. So obviously, it's nice to have a schematic before you start wiring up, because this is going to be the end result. There's going to be wires everywhere. And unless you're very comfortable in doing this, I mean, when I look at that, and anybody who's built power boxes, it's not a big to do. But if it's your first time, you need to do one connection at a time. Make sure that you're following your diagram. Oh, and let me suggest that you run the diagram to somebody, through somebody who's done this before. Okay. There's nothing wrong with getting a second set of eyes on something. Okay. Okay. And so here's the completed box. These are the posts that you were referring to or asking about, Justin.
Okay, so you can plug something in there. You can plug a banana plug or wire onto that. Okay, I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have a power supply here that also has the battery posts, that also has the Anderson power pole, that has the USB. Also, the USB 3 and the cigarette lighter, and it has just a voltage meter. So when you open it up, if you look at these the posts, they are the first thing that goes to the battery. My battery is a 40 amp hour battery in this one here. And it has big old Anderson power pole connections on there. But the first thing that gets connected is to these posts. Okay, so any high current stuff, I plug into the posts. Okay. Which also means that you can put your charging stuff on there. I have a separate cable to plug my charger into. As a matter of fact, that's what I was doing. I'm keeping this charged. So anyway, here's that. I just dropped that. Okay. So having a battery box like this is very, very, very handy. So here's box with the cover closed. I don't see the closed there. There's the lid closed. Oh, I guess it was just the main lid closed. And this is just, again, to keep the water out. It's not waterproof in any way, shape, or form, but it protects it. Then you have the battery meter. My second battery box, the one with the white acrylic top, that has one of these things in there, and that shows me the watt hours used, voltage, current, runtime, all that type of stuff. So understanding what your battery is up to is very, very important. Okay, and so with a small box, it's even more important. Okay, because if you're doing an event and you're trying to use a 7 milliamp hour battery, that you can listen to the radio all day long with that. But if you're having to transmit for 8 hours straight, it ain't going to work. Okay. Even a lithium iron phosphate battery, they do have their limits, right? So you need to size it appropriately. And speaking of batteries, this one is the Vienno Power. That's just one of 1,000 different types that you can buy on the internet. If you are loaded like Jeff, then you can go ahead and buy the Vienno Power batteries. I'm not loaded like Jeff, so I have to go budget. Okay, I have to buy actually that's a wet cell. That's a 300-pound lead acid. No, but I do have a 50 amp hour battery. This is from Redodo. Who makes up these titles on these batteries, these companies? But do your due diligence. YouTube University does have its place, right? And this is one of them. Find out what other people are doing. And at the time, that 50 amp hour battery is like 4 years old, and they had great reviews. And I waited till the sales were on, and I got it for a half decent price. Now you can buy the same thing for a lot less than what I bought it for 4 years ago. They've really come down. So whatever you use, do your due diligence. Now, I found that 50 amp hour, it will do an event all frickin' day, even if you're transmitting all day long. That's a lot of battery on a lithium iron phosphate. Okay. My 40 amp hour does a freaking excellent job. As a matter of fact, the Wasatch 100, which was a few weekends ago, I used the, this is so funny. I used that first battery box on the left on the table with the white acrylic top. Those are two 20 amp hour AGM batteries that are together in parallel. So it's 40 amp hour, but AGM, okay, which means that you can only use 50% before you start having problems. That sucker is 8 years old, and I used it. I didn't have to use my generator at all during the Wasatch 100. I was running I didn't bring in my Go kit that powers, but I was running a 2-meter radio, the FTM 100, and it was all I was transmitting constantly. Okay, because I was running packet, and it did a great job. And I have a battery, not a battery charger. Well, I do. It's called a solar panel that plugs into that, and I was able to use it the entire 32 hours. So anyway, if you are nice to your batteries, they'll be nice to you, I think is the thing that we want to go away with here. And so this is just a comparison of lead acid versus LiPo batteries. In my opinion, there is no comparison. LiPos are really the way to go. And then this person used an inverter that if you want to run things with 120 volts, that's one way of doing it. He has a small one. Make sure that if you do, you use a pure sine wave inverter. Who can tell me why? Instead of a modified, there's two different inverters you can buy, a modified sine wave or a pure sine wave. Which one do you want?
The modified ones produce a lot of noise.
The modified
harmonics and noise.
Yeah, the modified is a very noisy power inverter. The pure sine wave gives, they say pure, but it really isn't. It's close enough. if you look at a modified compared to a pure sine wave, you can see that there's distinct rise times of the voltage going up and going down on the modified, which plays havoc to electronics versus more of a analog. You know, the closer you get to a perfect 60 hertz sine wave, that's what you're looking for, right? And so these do a great job of doing that. But if everything is run off of 12 volts, then you don't need to worry about that. And I hate using inverters because every time you insert an inverter in your circuit, and by a circuit, I mean battery, inverter, radio, you lose power. Okay, there's a cost associated with the inverter. It's not 100% efficiency. These are probably 70% efficient. 78% is probably on a good day. Okay, that's why I don't use them, but it's there if you need it. If you need to run something 120 volts.
I mean,
and
plus whatever you plug into, it's going to just convert it right back to DC. So you're really kind of losing a lot.
That's the silly part. I see people run their 120 volt inverters to power their 120 volt power supply to bring it back to 12 volts. What? You deserve losing all that power if that's how you're going to do it. And this is a solar panel, and this happens to be the very same one that plugs into that guy right there. I use the same one, and I absolutely love it. I cannot say enough about it. You're able to plug in another solar panel with it using the M4 connectors that they have in here. A very, very, very good solar panel. And again, I've had mine for years, and the reason why I like it, it is more sensitive than other solar panels I've seen. Just without direct sunlight, it's pulling in power, okay? And it's actually charging the battery. And so I just barely read that. It was recommended by, oh, wow. Okay, so I must have, see, I give Go-Kit presentations at the Hamventions, okay? And so he was probably one of those. That's funny. I just barely read that. So that's funny that he listened to that. But I'll tell you, hear me now and believe me later. It is a great solar panel. Okay, and then the last of all is he has a parts list. And the thing that's going to cost the most is the solar panel and the battery. Okay, so my suggestion is you don't get everything all at once. If you're budgeting, you just do one thing at a time, right? And then go for it. And then you can attach it to any radio that you want. So that's the presentation. I'm going to, let's see, if I stop share, will this video be?
You're still there. We're just seeing your camera now.
Okay, so let me see how I don't know if I'm recording what I'm seeing here. Just one second. Let me go to view.
Yeah, it still says it's recording up there, so I think we're recording your camera right now.
My camera? Okay, great.
I would guess that's the main view here.
If not, I apologize. We're going to assume, because I'm going to unplug the monitors here. Let's see. Let me try this. Let me go in display settings. Instead of right now I'm separating the two, extend these displays. I'm going to duplicate these displays. And so everybody should see. Okay, I'm crossing my fingers that we are still recording. Let's see, gallery. I don't want. Sorry, let's see. Maybe.
If you right click on the picture and
create a QR code for my mug.
Never mind.
Maybe it's right here.
Yeah.
Spotlight for everyone. Aha! Something what please close all broad. I don't understand. You guys are still here, right? Yeah. Let me close this. Okay. I'm just going to see if this will work then. Matter of fact, it might be easier if I just carry things over here. So as you can see behind me, I have the power supplies that I bought or that I made. And really everything is based on what we just went through, just in a different way of doing it. So before I do anything else, does anybody have any questions on making a power supply? Who doesn't have a power supply? Okay, first of all, question. Yes, Jeff.
I saw a presentation on power supplies that recommended two additional components. One was a constant voltage regulator.
Okay.
So that you could set it to provide constant voltage even though your battery was maybe going down a little bit. And the second one was a low voltage shut off. A low voltage alarm / shut off.
Okay.
What do you think about those?
Okay, so were you able to hear that, Sam and Justin, and David and Jeff and Ragnar? Looks like we got a lot of people.
It was pretty tough. Something about a low voltage shutoff's all I got.
Okay, yeah. So lithium iron phosphate batteries typically they'll either come with a low voltage shutoff or they won't. Some of them don't. I buy the ones that do. Okay, you can have a separate. Victron makes a little unit that I don't know if it just works with. No, it'll work with any of them. It shuts down a fuse or something so that it's not drawing any more battery. So you can get those from Victron as well. But absolutely, it is important that you know that you not use your batteries more than what they should, and that is why those AGM batteries that are two 20 amp hour batteries that are tied together in parallel. That's why they have lasted for years, because I am very careful to monitor what the status of the battery is. Okay. Also temperature. Lithium iron phosphate batteries you will destroy them if they go below freezing. Okay. So guess what I'm going to do with the batteries in the trailer in the wintertime? They're going in my house, right? So that's how you fix that. So the point is, try to make your systems, like if you're in an RV, some people will hide those batteries deep in there. Some batteries are okay to do that, because with a big enough bank, you buy the batteries that have the heating element on it, and it'll never go below a certain temperature. Okay. But they do make the batteries just same thing with the low voltage, with the low temperature. Though that's a killer to lithium iron phosphate. Not so much with AGM or lead acid. Okay, they're a lot more forgiving. You know that because you drive a car in Alaska and it's negative 30 degrees, okay, and the car still turns over. I'll guarantee you they're not using lithium iron phosphate batteries for those cars, okay. And what was the other?
Constant voltage.
How are you? It's good. Well, I've had a bunch of surgeries done. I had cataract
Hey,
surgery.
Ragnar,
both
could
eyes.
you? Ragnar?
Yeah.
Could you mute yourself? Okay. Okay.
Low voltage, constant voltage regulator.
Voltage regulator. Okay. It's my opinion that if you're using a lithium iron phosphate battery, you don't need it because by design, it tries to stay at 13 volts there around. Okay. On anything other than a lithium iron phosphate battery, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'll go one step further. If you can afford it, you want to get an MFJ unit is the only thing I've ever seen that will take your 12.03 volt battery and step it up to 13 volts. Okay, so it doesn't matter what your source battery is. The load is looking for 13 volts, right? And so this unit will take a huge variable, 14 volts down to 10 volts, and push it up to 13 volts. Okay, so that's definitely a thing to do. I don't see a need if you're using lithium iron phosphate. It's certainly not going to hurt if you do that, but
Well, it's going to hurt because it'll suck power, right?
well, I mean, yeah, we have the parasitic draws that will start playing with there, and yeah, I mean, you just have to use your own best judgment. If you're like on the trailer, I have it connected to the solar panels at all times, so I don't care about the parasitic voltages that are the current that is going out there. And what do I mean by parasitic current? All that means is even though you have your radios turned off and you think everything is powered off, and you come a month later and your batteries are discharged, you're going, what the heck happened? And then you find out, oh my goodness, that I'm going to pick on the trailer again. The switch, the 16 port switch, the gigabit switch was left on. Oh, and all of the voice over IP phones were plugged in and I didn't turn those off. Oh boy. You start finding these little things that are being parasites and sucking the blood out of your battery. Okay, so that's a parasitic current draw. Okay, so yes, what I do is when I'm all done with the trailer, I turn the main switch right from the battery that disconnects the battery to everything. So there is no parasitic draw. The solar batteries can't charge, or the solar panels can't charge, but that's okay because they're already fully charged. Okay, and I can turn those off and then return in a month, and they'll be at 98% of where I was at. Okay, so other questions?
How many amp hours do you have in this?
200 amp hour. Yeah. I do want to put another 200 in because I want to put a 12 volt air conditioner in. But one thing I found with the trailer, it is well insulated. And even during the hottest days in working in the trailer, it was 20 degrees cooler, 15 degrees cooler in the trailer than it was outside. And there was no cover over the trailer. And I'm going, how can this be? Because I'm just sweltering outside and I come in and it's warm, okay, but it's not hot, And so that kind of blows me away that insulation is keeping that radiant energy out. So other questions?
What form is that 12 volt
Oh yeah, they make 12-volt RV. They started off with the trucking industry, where they would have a small that they would hang on their window when they go to a truck stop, and they could have the air conditioner running. And it grew from there. Yeah, and so they have like a 9,000 BTU or 10,000 BTU unit that is run off of 12 volts. Okay, so you have to play games with it though, because as everybody knows, or if you don't know, you're going to know now, when you turn the air conditioner on, there's a huge current draw at the very beginning. And that's the killer with having a 12-volt system. So they make the capacitors that charge up slowly that will allow a 12-volt system to be able to, I'll call you, okay? And we'll get that installed.
What size wire?
I'm sorry?
What does that get? Wire?
Yeah, 16 feet.
It's like 12 gauge.
14 gauge is fine.
All right.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Who does not have a power box?
That's my Echo Flow.
I'm sorry?
Flow count.
Echo Flow, what's that?
Because it's just like battery.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you're another person that has lots of money. I don't.
Actually cheaper than others.
Well, yes, you can do that, or you can make 3 or 4 of your homemade at this for the same price. So, and I looked into those, and I'm taking a look. There's no freaking way. Not when I can do it myself.
And you spend much more than $400 for it. I saw the batteries said it was $450.
On the presentation, yeah, that's the Bieno power. They are freaking expensive. That's a 50 amp hour. That's a 50 amp hour. Whatever named I said, and that cost me $250 4 years ago.
I think mine's like 800 or 1,000 amp hours. It was like 450 or 500.
Yeah. So, okay. Other questions, comments? I'd love to see, Gordon, can you come up here and show your battery? I'm happy to come up here so you can show everybody on the.
I just want to see if I can actually carry it that far.
So what do you have?
Well, kind of the same thing that I just pieced together myself. Again, a lot of it I had. I did have to buy some different connectors, the Anderson power pole. I think that's this one here. And then the cigarette lighter.
I thought you quit smoking.
Well, yeah, I have to light cigars though. And then USB.
USB. Okay, that's kind of a common thing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, because you're going to need to charge your phone too.
Yeah, exactly.
I have been able to scan batteries, so this is one I got out of an old fire alarm system. Still seems to work. I think it's a 35 amp hour. But
And it's an AGM.
AGM. So it's a decent battery that I didn't pay anything for. So
Boy, that's the best way to do it, man.
yeah,
The weight's worth it at that point.
yeah. It's hard
Hey, Dan,
to-
you said earlier that you can only run those AGMs down to 50%. Is that true? I thought you could run those pretty low.
So
Oh.
it's not the true 50 amp hour, 35 amp hour capacity if you want to preserve the battery.
Yeah.
So there's limitations, but
On a lead acid or an AGM, they don't want you to go below 11 volts.
yeah.
If you're hitting 11 volts, you're starting to potentially deal with the plates inside.
Yeah.
Well, acids, you're really not supposed to go down much at all, but I thought the AGMs you could go down much farther than a lead acid.
I wouldn't say much farther, but yeah, maybe somewhat farther. But, and then eventually this will expire and no longer hold the charge that I need. And then you replace it with whatever the current technology is at the time.
Yeah.
They're the best technology at the time that you can afford.
Yep.
So.
So do you have anything on top?
No, I store parts. And
Store
things in
parts.
here.
Okay, fantastic.
Cigarette lighter adapter that I can plug my mobile into. A couple of fuses, a USB cord, just whatever.
So what do you have with this? There's a twist lock.
That's how I originally built it, and I had my mobile case with the twist lock cord that made it that. But it's really bulky compared to an Anderson power pole, so I've kind of gone away from that. But I just haven't taken it out of here because no real reason to.
It's like all the ones that I've done since I created my first power supply with the white acrylic. It has a big old 35 amp twist lock. My original idea, I'm going to bring that over so you can see. Okay, so here I have this twist lock, same with Gordon, and I have a 10 gauge cable going to, my thought was I wanted to use a single power supply to run all of my Radio Go kits, okay? So to me, that was a very logical thing to get a twist lock, and I just put a mate in another one and do it. But I'll never do that again because the Anderson power poles are so prevalent, right? And everybody has them. I'll guarantee you're the only one that I've seen a twist lock on there. The rest of them, they all have Anderson power poles or some other type of connection.
Yeah.
Right? And so, say again? What?
What are these 30 amp power poles or?
These here?
20s or 30s?
These are 30s.
Yeah. But that port, I think, supports up to 30 or 40?
45.
45. So
Yeah.
those are 45 amps. They have larger ones, but that one individually will do 45 amps. Yeah.
Just heavier gauge.
Right. When you buy the Andersons to put on a cable, you can buy them in 15, 20, 40 amps. They mate to the same connector. They just are sized to crimp onto different size cables. That's the difference between a 15 and a 30.
This is a 75 amp.
Yeah, then you get into some larger ones.
Yeah. But
the only difference in the smaller ones, the connection's the same. It's what size wire they accept.
Well, the blade is a lot thicker. If you look at the 45 amp.
But they still mate to the same thing. So
yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of the power pole.
30 or 45 amp, you shouldn't go below.
Say again?
Is there a default?
No, it's all based on what the radio or what your load is looking for, right? And so even my 100-watt radio, it's only pulling, when I'm transmitting at 100 watts, like 27 amps, So I can use a 30 amp on any radio that I have. The only reason why I use 45 amp blades in the power pole connect, the sleeve, if you will, are when I'm hooking up my two buses together and running from the main battery bus in the trailer. So I'm actually using 8-gauge wire with 45 amp connectors that plug into my first Anderson power pole bus. It's a 6-bus connection, right? And then I have on one of them going to another bus that goes to my other station. Again, it's all 45 amp, and it's only 10 gauge, not an 8 gauge. And that's overkill because maximum I'm only going to be using, I could be running every single radio on station number 2. So 4 VHF, UHF radios, and I'm not going to approach anything that I have it wired for, or the Anderson power pole I have it sized for. So
You buy the 30 amp with 45 blades or something.
you buy, these are all the same, whether it's 15 amp, 30 amp, or 45 amp. Okay. This right here, the plastic is the same. It's the blades that will enable, you cannot fit a 10 gauge wire in a 15 amp blade, okay, because it's too small. You're required to use 14 gauge or smaller, okay?
That makes sense. I was wondering because they look the same.
Yeah, until you actually look at the blade, and I can tell if this is a 30 amp or a 15 amp or a 45 amp just by looking at the thickness of the blade. So there is that. And you can buy kits on Amazon. Be careful though, because you can buy knockoffs and they'll sometimes work. I just don't like to go there. I like to buy the PowerWorks version because they are cry once, buy once, cry once. Okay. You don't have to. You can try to save money there too, and I've done it, and that's okay. If we have to deal with what our budget is, right? And if our budget is Anderson knockoff, then that's what we do. And then I have this. Let me bring these back. This is the one that so much lighter than this one here. But this is a 50 amp hour. And I made it so that I could take the whole thing out and service it, right? So this is very easy to service. And if you look at all the wires that I'm using, there's nothing smaller than 10 gauge underneath here. And I don't need it. I can use 14 gauge on some of this stuff. I may have 12 gauge in here, but it's either 12 or 10 gauge. And I know that my wire isn't going to be a fuse, right? Because I'm dealing with a limited power source, I want to get as efficient as possible. I don't want to lose efficiency by using small wire. Okay, so
Stranded or solid?
I'm sorry?
Stranded or solid?
Always stranded. You can ask me why? Sure. Okay. Electrons travel on the skin of the wire. Okay. And so if I'm using a 10 gauge solid, I can pull 30 amps out of there, but it'll heat up faster than 10 gauge stranded. Okay, I have a lot more surface area on 10 gauge stranded that you do on 10 gauge solid. Okay, plus it crimps better. Plus, anytime you're moving with a solid, there's your point of there's a break point right there. So in any system that you do, always use stranded. I can't think of a reason why you would use solid.
I've run a lot of solid like copper in houses.
Right.
So I kind of coiled that in my garage probably.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
If I were to use nothing but solid in here, then I would solder all of my connections. I would not. Solid is not made for crimping. Okay, you don't get a good mechanical connection with the crimp on a solid wire. So, but yeah, one of the other things I like to do is I like to be able to recharge my battery in a number of different ways. This one here, I have a charge controller that is hidden, right there it is. And so I'm able to, and on this one, these Anderson power poles are for my charging setup. So solar panel or a power supply, okay? All of these Anderson power poles, these are all 45 amp connections, and these go to my load, okay? Batteries and whatnot. They're not batteries, radios. And then of course you have, see here, I don't even have a USB. That's horrible. I'm throwing this away. Well, I actually have a cigarette lighter with a USB in the truck, so that's actually what I use.
So the USB-Cs, of course, in power delivery are kind of complicated, programmable sort of things.
Yep. Any questions on what you've seen here? I want to take a look at yours, Jeff.
It's just it's nothing special.
Well, none of this is special. It's just, it's mine and I made it. So I'd like to see it.
I bought it used from the guy that did make it. And
Well, let's see what he did.
all of the business end is
Oh, the business end is right there. That's cool.
right there.
Look at that. We got
Just
the obligatory
Yep.
cigarette lighter.
I'm thinking about replacing those with power pole.
Uh-huh. Oh, you got two of them there.
Yeah.
And one thing nice about these here is Anderson Power Pole makes a unit that just goes right in there.
I have one of those.
Oh, okay. Excellent. So
Inside is just a small bio-NO battery, but
So you have, looks like you have your charger in there for this?
is there. There's just some extra space, so I'm using it for storage.
Yeah.
And this one goes the other way from power pole to cigarette lighter.
Oh, nice. Nice. That's exactly what I need. Thanks. Okay, I'll give it to you. Okay, so here's something else that I need to start doing. On my nice one, I do not have a nice meter. So you plug your source in and your load in, and it does all the calculations and stuff. So that's a really good thing to have. Does anybody know the name of that type of mouse that's on the corner? Yeah, the mouse. Yeah, the mouse. Yeah, right there. You don't see the mouse?
Mickey Mouse.
No, you missed it. Okay, hey, well, I'm done. Okay. I can only use that joke once in a crowd. So my suggestion to you is you take inventory. Well, this is awesome. And this is a 20 amp hour lithium iron phosphate. And this lasts a long time, doesn't it?
It does.
It blew me away.
Much lighter than this. Looks like it's well made.
I go out in the field, carry a 34 amp hour different lithium iron phosphate. I buy them from battery hookup. When you're filled up, and they sell a huge battery. It sounds terrible, but if you think about it, they buy wholesale quantities, big quantities of medical cart batteries. You know, you're in the hospital. Yeah. The girl comes with the typewriter. She has this little cart and goes around, and they replace those batteries every year or two. and they're lipos, and they're all like 32, 34, maybe 38 amp hours. I've got a whole bunch of them. And I just have a connector permanently screwed on the whole terminal through a couple of fuses to an Anderson power pole, and then I have one of those Quicksilver 1-to-6 converters that I use. And yeah, but it's, you know, it's just weighs less than that. And I just keep 2 or 3 of those batteries. I have a trucking, and I have a KX3 that I operate with the 100 watt amp. And I can one of those 32, 34 amp hour jobs, a little handle on it. I can get 3 maybe activations, you know, for a couple, 3 hours a piece.
Yeah.
They last a long.
Yeah.
So I don't even have a battery box.
Yep.
I don't even screw around with it.
So the only thing that the battery box gives you that this does not give you is it's a very easy way to recharge, to have multiple connections at the same time, that kind of stuff.
I agree, it is flexible.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, what are you trying to do? Power your radio? That's all you need right there. You know, so yeah, the rest of it is fluff. And now it's good fluff, but fluff. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, also having a battery box allows you to prevent you from accidentally touching your negative to your positive and start welding things. So got to be careful with that.
So if you go back to the USB-C, the power delivery sort of system, my understanding is that those are programmable based on the resistor network in the port, and you can deliver 65 watts charging with some of those, like to power laptops and so forth.
Yeah.
Seems like that would be, and of course it would look to 48 volts from a 12 volt. So it seems like that would be useful to put into some of these if you have a laptop you need it to charge or something.
That one there has that USB-C fast charge thing. I can plug my laptop right into it.
Module you just buy to the.
Yeah. Yep. That's one. I love the module system. Get rid of my cigarette lighter and put a USB or USB-C or whatever, right? So very convenient. Very convenient.
So I got a question for all you guys. I've got a bunch of old and somewhat newer ThinkPads, IBM ThinkPads, pretty much what I buy. I buy them used. And the latest one that I bought is a 2019 model, and it has a USB-C power connector. Goes with the little power supply that plugs in the wall.
Yeah.
It's USB-C.
Yeah.
And that's the power delivery that can go up to.
They used to be what, around 19 volts or something or other, that they had the larger connector.
The computer still is 19 volts. That's delivered 19 volts.
That's delivering that, even though it's USB-C.
That's what the power delivery or PD it says on it. It'll tell you on the connectors whether it's a.
And those laptops that have that, they'll tell you this is not a data port. This is a power delivery port.
Or a Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
And the cable has the right resistor in it to tell the thing how many volts they want. And when I guess it's smart enough to know when they cut off the charging or something.
So there must be somebody that sells, I'm assuming it's necessary, that sells a boost converter, convert 12 volts of the 12 volt system up to the 19 volts.
That's what that is.
USB-C, that's a boost, is it? A boost?
It's built into the circuitry of the.
So if you look at the label on the power adapter, it will probably tell you several different output voltages that it it can provide. And it's the electronics in the thing that you plug it into that determines what voltage it is.
So one thing you could do, I use this laptop for, again, this takes 19 volts, right? And I don't have 120 volts in the trailer natively to run my brick that charges this. So I have this 12 volt to 19 volt to power my laptop.
So it's like a boost.
Yeah, it's a booster. 12 volts in, 12 to 20 volts in, 20 volts out.
So they're like a buck converter,
Oh,
a buck, the buck converters will do that, but they're kind of noisy in a radio environment.
I use this on my packet communications all the time. I haven't seen any issue using this one here. This is called Power Plus. And of course I got it from Amazon. But my only thing is finding the right barrel connector for that. And once you know what the barrel connector is, they make it, you can get.
Laptops nowadays have that USB.
Yeah, if you have the USB-C, then done deal. So.
I actually have a battery bank that powers my laptop for 3 to 4 hours. It's not your standard one, it's about 2 inches thick.
Right.
It's a brick size, but it outputs the 19 volts into my laptop. Between the internal battery and the extra battery, I can go 6 to 8 hours. Probably just lithium ion, like Best Buy. I got out to a job site one day and I left my cord at home and I needed my laptop all day. And I went to Best Buy to see if I could get something and I had this. I went, well, for $60, this will get me through the day, and it did. So I can go all day between the internal battery and this external battery. I can work all day long. I brought it with you, but I just a couple of years ago bought a cigarette lighter adapter that would do power delivery up to 100 watts, and that's what I use to power my laptop when I'm in the car. And I have done it off the battery as well.
So the only thing that I would caution is the circuit in your car with your cigarette lighter able to handle the current that you're asking for it, right? Just because you can doesn't mean should you, right? Because you could blow your fuse in your car. So you have to make sure that you're good with that. So, but yeah, nowadays cars, they have every connection possible. So, okay. Any other comments or questions or suggestions? Here's the deal. If you want help building a battery box, let me know or any club member know, and we are here to help. Okay. And any questions from the Zoom team?
I don't know, that'd be a good Elmer Night topic, is building a battery box. I may have an Elmer Night request too. I don't know. Are we set up for that? How do we do that kind of request? Just email it or text it for now?
Well, we have the request. You just requested it. We can go ahead and put that on the agenda for, we can either have a class like this and do it in a club meeting, or we can do it via the Elmer system where we just do one-on-one type of stuff. So it really depends on what everybody wants. If it sounds interesting to do a night where we all make a battery box, we can do that. It's just whatever. I'll take the vote of everybody. And one thing that we need to do though is we need to plan it out for a few months so that people can get their supplies. The the most expensive thing will be your battery. Okay, and if anybody knows a place to source used batteries, that would be great. Battery who?
They buy robot batteries, use robot batteries, and use medical car batteries, and test them. And I'll tell you, they're testing. And, you know, they come up to 90% of capacity.
Battery hookup.
Batteryhookup.com. They are great. Call them. Knowledgeable. They're just fabulous. And you gotta watch their website constantly because they're constantly changing. That little one's better than right, that's a price on
$38.
it. That's a deal. That is a deal.
Holy.
I got a couple of them.
That's 38 amp hours.
It's great that came out on that. And then they have other, you can build battery systems and stuff. I'm afraid to build some of those battery systems. I've seen people that have fires in their campers and stuff like that. I'd rather buy a whole, you know, something like a battery management system, built in and everything. They'll tell you what you got. And you can buy the DMSs from them all. Even the batteries are cheap, but really fast.
200 double A's for $10.
Those pallets, some of those, oh, I got what is it, ZKU Tech charger, that is a great little charger, for, what is it, $100?
This year?
Yeah, that thing, it's an electronic, it's a charge discharge device, I use mine as a charger, and I charge all kinds of batteries with it. You can program the charge rate, there's software, you can download the software on your laptop, it works just but that whole website, check it out, it's just, those people are fantastic. But when you're Philadelphia, and then, you know, they discharge the batteries to like something like 50% of charge when you ship them, because that's the only way you can legally ship a battery, I guess.
Yeah.
Lithium-ion phosphate battery.
It's on ground shipping probably.
Yeah, I think it is. And my quote with, you know, we bought whole cases of them and stuff, and you save some money on the shipping. Even with the shipping, that battery, that orange battery up there is, what is it, $40? How much is it?
38.
By the time you ship, it might be $50 or $55. It's still very cheap. That particular battery is a great battery. And they have, the style has a handle that's like 32 or 34 amp hours. I like to buy them also. I'll throw 2 or 3 of them in my camper. And that's all you need for activating when you're doing parks on the air. You can operate for days with those things. You can always have one handy. And if your voltage goes out and the cat's free, I can watch the voltage. And the voltage falls, you go out and switch over to the next battery.
You can group buy 50 of them, have one for me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean,
Have one on my
And if you
shop.
can mess around with the website, put it in your cart and check out what the shipment is to your house. And you put it in your system. It might be a better choice, you know. Even 1 or 2, if you're down 1 or 2, is still
do the pick week up for and then drive it down.
That's the maximum.
Southwest is getting really, the airlines are tighter than the FAA. I know that the Southwest is some new rules just recently. Delta, I carry 2 battery pack record things, and you put it in your carry-on, and half the time they pull it out.
Okay, $19 for ground
For one.
for one. So $60.
Still, we're gonna go 14 on that.
So see what happens when we go, let's say if I do 10. What does that mean? Let's see what happens. $77.
It's a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, if you guys want, go to the outfit and buy a dual bolt fire for the club.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for the $100 on sale.
Yeah.
I have, every now and then, I'll have like one of these fishing tournaments or something like that. They use it with deep cycles for a fishing tournament.
Yeah.
And they buy a bunch of them, and they sell out really fast.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, that's $32 a pop. If
Yeah.
is that 228 for 6 or for 10?
Looks like it's for 6. That's about the battery image on the right. Yeah, maybe that's all I have in stock.
Have 6.
Yeah, it is for 6. Okay, so 322 divided by 6 is $53. So it's still you get a discount.
You can read the details, they'll tell you if they're tested and how they test.
Yeah.
They use those single ZKE testers, they have racks of them. When they recommended that, they recommend the charger in there because one of these things, they just work, they've been using them for years.
So Tom, let me get your card number so that I can just see how much I can get out of you. Okay. So this is being recorded, so maybe we won't put it on the recording. Okay, well, thank you very much. That will definitely be something. And plus, a lot of times we can go ahead and talk to the manufacturer or talk to the place and say, hey, we're a nonprofit organization, we're a ham radio club. What can you do for shipping? Will you eat the shipping for us or half or whatever it is, right? I mean, the worst thing they can say is no. So anyway, I think that's worth.
Always no if you don't ask.
Say again?
It's
always know if you don't.
Exactly. Okay, any other comments before we end this evening? It is almost 8 o'clock. Thanks everybody for coming, and I hope you learned something. I will have this presentation. It'll actually depend on Jan when he posts it, but I will get it posted. And the actual presentation that had all of the details on the power box that we were looking at, there'll be a PDF that will also have that on the website. Okay. So without further ado, thanks everybody for joining us, and we will see you next time. And how do I?
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good presentation.
I'm glad you liked it.